Hey, so I'm super excited to report a great jury verdict for this case that I've been working really hard on the past several weeks. And I want to just kind of summarize the three key points that I think really lend themselves to getting a great verdict. So number one, I think, is you have to have a righteous case. And in this particular case, the facts were so clear-cut that the defendant actually had to admit that they were 100% at fault before we even got to the jury trial. And then once we got into the trial, because again, the case was so righteous, the defendant was all at fault, my client was entirely innocent, the medicine lined up perfectly, they eventually had to basically concede that her injuries were caused by their fault as well. And so the jury then really just had to assess what was the money damages that were caused by all of this. So the facts of the case, a righteous case, is super critical to having success at trial. Number two is having great clients. And my clients, Rose and Guy, were just phenomenal people, all about family, and you could just tell talking with them in 30 seconds, and I think the jury could see that. These are just super quality people. They worked hard their whole life. They were not the type of people that were just looking for a handout and any kind of jackpot justice, anything like that. It was apparent they never wanted any part of this, but once it happened, once the defendant was 100% at fault, then the principle was to see the case through to conclusion, because my clients knew how bad Rose had actually been hurt by this injury. And the other thing is that they worked hard. We worked on our testimony. We wanted to make sure that we could get to the point and properly convey the impact that this has had on their lives. And because they worked hard and because they're good people, I think it resonated with the jury. And that takes me to number 3 point, which is that you have to get lucky. And what I think we got lucky in this particular case is we had a great jury. In most of the counties in Pennsylvania, there isn't a great jury selection process. So there's not a lot that I get to do to really dig in to find out whether people are going to be a good fit for this case or not. And so the reality is that there was a tremendous amount of luck in the 12 people that we had seated as the jurors in our case. And it just so turned out that these people worked very hard. They took their job very seriously, and I think that they fairly and properly assessed the harm that was caused to my client under the circumstances. You know, there really did not seem to be any biases. There didn't seem to be jurors that were really leaning one side or the other. I think they just called it like they saw it, which is really all you can ask for. So we got lucky in that we got a great jury, and we also had a great judge. We had Judge Chris Shearer, who's from up in Westmoreland County, and again, he was just super even-handed. I think when the defense got out of line, he called them on it. You know, when I maybe pushed the limits too much, he called me on it, but it was 100% fair. He created a great atmosphere. I made it comfortable. He allowed the lawyers to try the case and not get in the way. And so I think all those factors came together to bring about a great result, which was a $950,000 verdict, all non-economic damages. So for my client's pain, suffering, the impact on her life, loss of the enjoyment of the pleasures of life in the past and probably going into the future. So it was a great outcome, but with every great outcome, you need certain ingredients to make the right recipe for a good verdict, and we had them in this case. So I'm excited to get working on the next case. This was a great one, will be a great memory for me, and then it's now back to work.